Hey guys, my name is Batimio, and today I have another episode of Field Tests. This is a show where you, the viewer, choose a weapon loadout that you want me to try. So what a weapon, what attachments, all that kind of stuff. And then I pick from the top 3 most thumbs up comments, and then I put one of them through its paces. What we're trying to do here is to essentially find loadouts that may have gone under the radar, or really just if you want me to try out a certain loadout that you think is viable, I will put it through its paces and then give my thoughts on it. But for today, Mr. No Names are free. Suggests that I try out on the Scar L with the holographic sight, under slug, flash suppressor, the defibrillator, and health pack. You also say here that I could also use the M320 buck, but I'm not really into the M320 at all, so I'm just going to stick with my handy dandy health pack. Really, the Scar L has been out for a couple of weeks now on PC. DICE screwed up. I'm not really sure how they did this, but they released all of the new weapons, or at least the capability for you to unlock them on PC at the same time that PS3 had access, or 1 week early access to the Close Quarter DLC. So everyone on PC has had access to this for a couple of weeks now. I'm not really going to complain by any means, but really this has become quickly one of my favorite long-range weapons. It's very effective at taking out those long-range targets. So the recommendation of the holographic sight I think is very appropriate. It still is going to give you a lot of vision in front of you, and you're not using like the ACOG, which is going to reduce your peripheral vision. So I think the holographic is a fantastic choice. I would prefer still going with the Cobra, but that's because I don't like to switch between scopes all that often, or sights, so I normally just stick with the Cobra sight, but I think that using the holographic, if you like it, is perfect. It's going to give you a little bit more amplification, and it's going to make it easier for you to line up and see those long-range targets, so I think that is a good choice. You also recommend the Flash Suppressor, but to be honest, I just did not think that this was the best attachment for this slot. The Scar L doesn't really have a lot of vertical recoil, and really the only reason, if we're going to be honest, is if you're going to use the Flash Suppressor, it's to reduce that vertical recoil and make it more manageable. But because the weapon just does not have much of it at all, I just felt like this attachment slot was a little useless. I know it was helpful on the close quarter maps because it allowed me to stay on target easier for those medium range engagements. So I guess if you're going to play on the close quarter DLC, the Flash Suppressor is going to be an okay choice. But for the most part, I would use the Heavy Barrel. The Heavy Barrel is going to increase the recoil a little bit, but it's going to increase your accuracy. And where this weapon excels is at long-range engagements, and having the Heavy Barrel attachment is just going to make you even more effective, in those circumstances. It's going to increase your accuracy. You're going to do more damage at medium range because it's going to increase your, not really increase your damage, but it's going to make it so that your max damage falls off a lot later. So I just think the Heavy Barrel is a much better attachment for this slot. But I guess if you are, like I said, if you are going to play on the close quarter maps, having the Flash Suppressor is a decent choice. It's going to make it easier to kind of combat people in medium range engagements, but I just didn't think that it was the best. As for the weapon itself, the Scar L has an extremely low rounds per minute of 620, and while I believe this is the second lowest RPM in the game, I think the G3A3 takes the cake at 550. But 620 is pretty slow, and there was a lot of circumstances where I was getting into a gunfight with someone at medium range or even up close, and we're both blasting at each other, and I just felt like it was taking forever me to take them out. And it wasn't the fact that this weapon kills slow, but at medium range engagements, you want to kill them quickly because if you don't, they're probably going to turn and burn you. And there was a lot of times where I'm just like, come on, kill them already. And it's not because the weapon is bad by any means, it's just that this slow RPM takes a little while for you to take someone out. So the Scar L is not going to be your weapon of choice for close encounter engagements. If you do want to run and gun and you want to do well up close, I would recommend the AEK or the FAMAS for those situations, but don't really let that deter you. You can still use this on the close quarter maps if you play it correctly. As you can see here, I'm able to get a lot of kills. I'm able to help out my team, and the best way that I found to use this weapon on the close quarter maps was to play a more defensive role and make sure that I knew when an enemy was going to come in contact with me, he was going to be at medium to even long range, because there is some long range engagements on the close quarter maps, but I never really tried to run and gun with this weapon. It's just not going to work. So if you play on the close quarter maps, stay at objectives and defend them, And if you are going to attack an objective, just move around the map so that you are able to come across an enemy at medium range engagements or long range if you can help it, because that's really where this weapon is going to excel. Another great thing about this weapon is that the recoil on it is very minimal. Like I said earlier, it doesn't have a lot of vertical, but also its horizontal recoil is quite minimal as well. It's one of the lowest for the assault rifles, and it makes it very manageable to stay on target at pretty much any range. You know, if you're going for a really long ball shot, you're still going to have to burst fire. But for medium range engagements, I felt like I could almost go full auto on people, and I would have absolutely no problem lining up every shot, which is something I really enjoyed. But overall, I think that this was an okay recommendation. I still think you should swap out the Flash Suppressor for the heavy barrel just to make it even more effective at those long range engagements, which is exactly where this weapon excels. But if you haven't tried out Mr. No Name suggestion or the one that I recommended, I highly recommend it. I think that this is a fantastic weapon. It does very well at long range engagements, and like I said, don't let this deter you, and try it on the close quarter maps. As long as you move around the maps effectively, you defend objectives. It's a very fun weapon. But that's it for today's field test, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, or you just want to support my channel, I always appreciate it when you give my videos a rating, and also subscribe if you haven't already. If you would like to submit your own field test loadout, you can do so by leaving a comment down below with the weapon you want me to try and all of its attachments. But until next time, guys, have a good one and take it easy.